There'll be a Q&A button on your screen to submit questions for Tom. And now it really is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Tom E. Curran, from the class of 1989. We're also fellow English majors.
Yes.
And Tom is, as most of you know, he's the Patriots Insider for NBCSports Boston. He's been the leading voice on the Patriots and the NFL since 1997. He is a regular contributor to WEEI, the NFL Network, ESPN Radio, and Pro Football Weekly, to name just a few. Tom Curran's voice and leading-edge analysis have set him apart locally and nationally. Please join me in welcoming Tom. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, everybody. How you doing? Thank you for having me. I'm glad that for you folks who are either working at home and taking a little lunch, I appreciate you taking some time to listen to me. As Trish said, I graduated in '89. I was an English major. Loved my time there. And one cool thing about this, Trish, I'm sure that you're experiencing it too, and maybe all you guys out there are, is that in this time, you have a little bit more opportunity to reach out to people and just check on how they're doing. And I've reconnected with some of my best friends from St. A's who I'm somewhat connected with, but you know, the opportunity to catch up with Pete McNally and Steve Curtin, Ski, Dave Donlin, Mick Flynn, Carol Griffin, who's a nurse in Boston, and just to see how people are doing. I think this has been an awesome opportunity, and this is a great opportunity today to talk to you guys and give you some insight on what I've been doing and what I have covered for the last, almost 30 years now, 23 years covered the Patriots, and I've had the opportunity to be front row to the Patriots dynasty and to get to know all the people involved in it really closely. I developed a great relationship with Tom Brady since 2001. Know him very well. He is, I'll tell you this, as good as he seems at the podium, he is better in person. And it doesn't matter if you are someone he's known forever or if you work for the Daily Bugle. He will spend time with you and answering his questions, your questions. And, you know, I've developed great relationships. I did a podcast this morning with Scott Pioli for about 45 minutes. He was the Patriots GM from 2000 through 2009. Perspective in the relationship I have with Brady, with his family, with his agent Don Yee, with the people around him, Alex Guerrero, et cetera, and with the institutional knowledge that I have from covering the team of how the Patriots, you know, have viewed Brady and how they've operated through the years. As with everybody, I've had a distant but familiar and collegial relationship with Bill Belichick. We know each other really well, and there are times when he would be a little bit more willing to share information with me, and at other times not as much. And I think over the last 3 years, as I've covered the way things with Brady have unfolded, I've been kept more at arm's length, but I certainly have an understanding of how they operate and how he's operated, and insight into how the coaching staff has viewed things, contacts within the organization. So all that informs what we're about to go through and talk about as to how Tom Brady went from where he's been as a New England icon, the greatest quarterback in NFL history, to now donning the number 12 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Trish, come off mute. Is there anything else I should hit before I start launching into how in God's name we got here?
I recently read your article that you posted last night at like 10:30. You work all hours of the night.
Do. Well, if I didn't procrastinate, I wouldn't have to.
About Brady's long interview with Howard Stern yesterday. So I don't know. That was exciting.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff that hopefully I'll answer here, and then we can get to in a Q&A. So I'm going to just babble.
Yeah, go for it.
And then there'll be a Q&A that we can start around 12 2012, 25. We'll wrap this up around 12:45. But to understand how Tom Brady became a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, we really need to go back to 2013. And at that time, the Patriots had gone to a Super Bowl in 2011. They had lost in the AFC Championship in 2012. And then in 2013, you had a very interesting season. Wes Welker left after the 2012 season. The Patriots had franchised Wes in 2012. Coming back in 2013, Patriots weren't going to pay Wes Welker the same amount of money that he had made as a franchised player. So when he said, I want to go out and see what's out there for me, similar to the way Tom Brady had planned to do this offseason, Patriots filled his position with Danny Amendola. So Brady was heading into a 2013 season without his most trusted guy in Wes Welker. He had Danny Amendola. Julian Edelman was coming off an injury, and then Aaron Hernandez went on a killing spree. And in that time, you now lost Aaron Hernandez, who was arrested. Welker was gone. Amendola got hurt, and Edelman was an X factor. Going into the 2013 season, Brady was surrounded by these players who he wasn't familiar with. And he went out and he had a season in 2013 that was less than what people expected. And there was real concern on the Patriots coaching staff that the best of Tom Brady had come and gone. Prior to that 2013 season, Tom Brady signed a very team-friendly contract, a 6-year, $60 million contract. And Robert Kraft said at that time, we wanted to do something elegant. I did this as a fan more than as an owner because I wanted to make sure that Tom retired a Patriot. So there's your landscape. Shitty surrounding cast, and yeah, I'm going to use some PG-13 words because it's easier to be conversational. Surrounding cast that was less than. A new contract that was on the Patriots' terms, taking him through what Kraft figured was going to be the end of Brady's career. And a coach who's looking at Brady and going, he's not playing like he used to. He's starting to bug me a little bit here. They go out in 2013. They have a season that ends in the AFC Championship game, but Brady had his worst statistical season in some time. So what do the Patriots do that offseason? 2014 draft comes up, and the Patriots draft Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round. Not a receiver, not somebody to help Brady in that draft after a tough 2013 in which Edelman was his main guy and Hernandez had gotten arrested and Gronk finished his season injured. But they drafted a quarterback. And when they drafted him, Belichick talked about, we all understand Tom's age and contract situation. So Brady right there saw the writing on the wall. He's trying to do to me what he did to Seymour, to Harrison, to Ty Law, to Adam Vinatieri, to Lawyer Malloy. He's setting the stage to replace me. So in that 2013 offseason heading into 2014, Brady said, you know what? Screw that. I'm not getting replaced. I'm not going to fall asleep at the switch the same way Drew Bledsoe did. I'm going to have a season that makes it impossible for Belichick to ignore me. 2014 unfolds. The first 4 games don't go very well. Patriots get their asses kicked in Kansas City. Garoppolo ends up playing the end of that game. But from there, the Patriots go on a ridiculous tear, and Brady plays at an absolute MVP pitch. They close that season by winning what I thought was one of their best playoff games in 2014 against the Baltimore Ravens when Brady makes some incredible throws. And the Patriots coaching staff comes up with some craftiness to undress the Ravens. And then in that Super Bowl, after an AFC Championship rout of Indianapolis, in that Super Bowl, you have Brady in what I thought was kind of his finest hour. In some ways, 2016 also was an incredible performance. But to that point, undressing the Seattle Seahawks in the fourth quarter, a generationally great defense, and to score 2 touchdowns and to do it as he did against what was seen as good as you could get defensively. And they win that Super Bowl, which bookended those other Super Bowls that they had won the decade prior. So Brady had in some ways cemented things. 2015, they come back again, injury-plagued season. They lose Gronk. They lose in Denver. And they go into the 2016 season again with, an interesting situation contractually in March of 2016 leading into that year. Now Brady is looking over his shoulder. He's 39, and Garoppolo is still there. So in March of that year, Brady signed another extension that the Patriots actually had team options for. This extension was going to bring him through 2018 and 2019, tacking on those 2 years. And it was for an extension that was going to pay him $20 million in each of those 2 seasons. $20 million, great for you and me. For a franchise quarterback who was as accomplished as Brady, it was a bargain for the Patriots. So 2016 comes, and Brady is actually suspended for the first 4 games because of Deflategate. And there's a lot that went into that, but that's another webinar for another time. But he comes out and he throws 28 touchdowns and 2 picks and has an MVP caliber season. Now, Garoppolo's still sitting behind him. Brady goes out and has this season, capping it by having the greatest football performance, perhaps championship performance in NFL history, and leading the Patriots back from 28-3. They win what is now their 5th Super Bowl. So understanding this, Brady has now won 5 Super Bowls. That's more than Bradshaw, more than Montana. He's playing on a team-friendly contract. He's still got Jimmy over his shoulder. That offseason, I was told by somebody very close to Brady, look, now everything changes. He's got 5. We're going to do things differently. And they launch into doing things differently. Brady goes all in on the TB12 stuff. He does Tom versus time. He is much more reticent about being involved in off-season activities until he gets the contract bump going into 2017 that he wants. Now, as you heard on Howard Stern, there was certainly conversation about, with his wife, Giselle, about spending more time at home, but he went all in on TB12 in that offseason. He didn't clear that with Bill Belichick, and that really went sideways up Belichick's posterior. He comes back in 2017. He wants his contract extension. He's not getting it. They go into that season, and now Rob Gronkowski, coming back from a back injury in 2016, has said, you know what? I'm not going to do the Patriot stuff. I'm going to go with Tom and do some of this TB12 stuff and see how that helps me. That further pisses off Bill Belichick in 2017 into that season. And that's when there really started to be friction with both sides. Brady was kind of doing his own thing and not asking for clearance, meanwhile asking for a little bit more contractual, basically for an extension. He wants to know what's going on with Garoppolo, because he's still under contract. The Patriots didn't trade Garoppolo when they had an opportunity to in the 2017 offseason. And part of that was because they didn't know what Brady was going to look like at 42. When Brady's sitting there, or at 40 at the time, and Brady's sitting there saying, what else do you need to know? The level I've played at is ridiculous. He goes out in 2017 and wins the MVP in 2017. Reluctantly, the Patriots eventually trade Garoppolo. That was not, as many people have reported, at the behest of Robert Kraft. The Patriots had no plan. Brady had played at such a level and was in the course of an MVP season where Belichick understood he had to move on from him. Garoppolo was not sticking around for a bridge contract. So that dynamic between coach, quarterback, and owner was ongoing. When they moved on from Garoppolo, this was Belichick and Brady are marching forward together. And Brady at that time of a mind of, okay, good, I'm going to get my extension. They go on, they play in the Super Bowl in 2017. Throughout all that, the backdrop to that is, as I'm talking to people around and in the organization, they're talking about, look, this stuff is coming to an end. We're starting to gather up our coats. Patricia is going to go to the Detroit Lions. McDaniels is going to go to the Indianapolis Colts. A number of players are heading out in different directions. Danny Amendola, guys with expiring contracts, they want out. And that's what happened. Then they lose that Super Bowl without playing Malcolm Butler, and that further pisses off players and coaches who were already somewhat irritated with Bill Belichick and the direction of things. You know, why would you keep a player on the sidelines who can help us win this game? Now, a lot went into that decision, game plan-wise, but also there was a dust up during the week that I still have not been able to confirm, but enough people have told me that went on between Steve Belichick, Belichick's son, and Malcolm Butler relative to Butler lashing out at Steve Belichick. So that led into it. Whether Belichick would have explained why he was benching Butler if it was another coach, I don't know. But that contributed to Butler sitting that day. Trish, come up. Patrice, come up. I want to make sure that I haven't left anything uncovered yet in this background. Does anybody have anything, Trish? You got anything that I haven't hit yet?
No, it sounds good to me.
All right, a lot of drama, a lot of shit going on here.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll get to this now. It's the 2017 offseason heading into 2018. Patriots are in a situation where Belichick and Brady are warily eyeing each other. Brady's done his Tom versus Time documentary. He's asked by Jim Gray whether or not he feels appreciated. He says, I plead the fifth. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Gronk is now on Wildcat strike, and he's doing everything he can to irritate the Patriots. He goes and does a press conference for a motocross event that's taking place in Gillette Stadium. But he doesn't go and spend any time with his teammates who are now in OTAs and lifting weights. And he's asked about whether or not he's going to join his teammates, and he says, no, he's all in on motocross. Well, that right there led Belichick to say, you know what? Screw this. We're going to set up a trade, and we're going to trade Gronk to Detroit. They put the trade in place. They were ready to go with it. And Gronk said, you go ahead and trade me. I'm not going. Not only that, but Brady said, how about this? You trade that tight end, and you're going to be -1 quarterback. I promise you that. Because Brady right then was ready to walk away. And this is in the 2018 offseason. They don't trade Gronk. They have a come-to-Jesus conversation with him. Belichick also reaches across the aisle and says, look, I understand we got sideways last offseason. We could have done things differently. Let's move on from it. And Brady is a love guy. He doesn't like the rancor. He doesn't like the negativity. He wants success, and the best way to derive success is to chase it and not have all this other stuff swirling. So the angst and the drama of 2017 and the early 2018 offseason was buried. Still, though, no contract extension. And when they got down to doing an extension, something that Robert Kraft had always been at the forefront of, they gave him, Brady, an opportunity to make $5 million more in incentives. And these incentives were contingent upon statistical stuff and performance stuff that, given the personnel around Brady, were going to be very hard to achieve, because now Brandon Cooks had been traded away and Danny Amendola had gone to the Detroit Lions. So you have Gronk and Edelman and really not a lot else going into 2018. Chris Hogan and Cordero Patterson and Philip Dorsett, just not high caliber players that Brady was tethered to. Then Edelman got suspended prior to the 2018 season. And Gronk, after the first game of the season, was nursing an injury. So in 2018, you're dealing with a Tom Brady who is trying to pull this team forward with less than offensive artillery around him, at least in his view. And that's in the view of some of the coaches as well. Those are not starting caliber players, Philip Dorsett and Chris Hogan. And the team decided at that point, you know what, we're screwed. Let's go get Josh Gordon. Well, there's a reason Josh Gordon was available. He had a substance abuse issue. Patriots go get him. They become reliant on him to a degree. And lo and behold, eventually Josh Gordon does what Josh Gordon has always done. He tests positive again for not performance enhancers, but he violates the drug policy, and he's suspended. The Patriots in 2018 lost to 5 different teams during that regular season. None of them made the playoffs. They got their asses kicked in those games against Detroit and Jacksonville and the Tennessee Titans. I don't know how, but after a loss to Pittsburgh in that December, they got their stuff together. They beat the Jets. They beat the Dolphins. They developed a running game. And more than anything else, everybody was healthy. So they go into that postseason, and they take care of business, winning their first 2 playoff games, one against, I can't remember who right now. But they had an AFC championship game against, oh, shit, who was it? They demolished them on the ground. Might have been Indy. Sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head, but whoever they beat in the first round of the 2018 postseason, it was a demolition. San Diego, bam, killed them. Then they go to Kansas City in an epic game, get ahead of Kansas City, great defensive game plan. Stephon Gilmore is now having an impact on that defense. The running game is working. They beat Kansas City on the road in a phenomenal game. And then they get a great matchup against a Los Angeles Rams team that ran the same style defense the Patriots had been able to eviscerate time and time again. That Seattle Seahawks cover 3 defense. And they also were going against a quarterback who really wasn't that good in Jared Goff. They win that game 13-3. Leads you into the 2019 regular season. Brady, again, doesn't get what he had hoped for with a contract extension. Instead, in the 2019 offseason, going into this past year, the 2-year, $50 million, all-guaranteed contract that Brady had hoped for was pulled off the table. Again, Brady is on the cusp of saying, you know what, screw this. And that was made clear to Bill Belichick by one of his assistant coaches as the stalemate continued, heading into training camp and then into a visit the Patriots were going to have to make to Detroit and then to Tennessee. It was made clear to him, he better do something because he's ready to walk. And Belichick's like, really? Yes, really. He could walk away. And at that point, the Patriots gave him an $8 million raise. And that $8 million raise, instead of the contract extension, sealed things. And that was something I wrote about at the time, and that was something Tom Brady confirmed with Howard Stern on Wednesday of this week in his conversation, that once I realized I wasn't getting that, I finally had the light go on. They don't trust me to go in depth and long-term with me, to ride with me. They didn't trust me in 17. They didn't trust me in 18. They didn't trust me in 19. So it's about time I take the hint and move on because I am human duct tape. They're trying to replace me. They want to replace me. They see me as a short timer. And the 2019 season, unfortunately, announced that to Brady in his eyes as his role was marginalized, and they asked him to spend a little less time directing players. Let the coaches do that. You're not going to do that. And you can look at it and say, I think a lot of people sometimes do and say, he's a baby about it. You know, he couldn't deal with it. And he wanted to be appreciated and loved and hugged. And to him, it wasn't that. It was, look, I'm ready to ride with you. I've taken these less than contracts all this time. And I just want the commitment back from you guys now to say, I'm the guy that you want to ride with, and you won't do it for me. So you know what? I'm going to ask for my freedom as a free agent at the end of the year. You can't franchise me. I want to be out and able to hit the market. And the Patriots said, okay, well, I don't know why you want that, but we'll give it to you. And they did that. And I had a long conversation at the Super Bowl with the owner up in his suite at the Four Seasons Hotel in Miami about this. And their intention was to re-sign Brady. That's what they wanted. But they didn't realize then that he was all set. He was heading out, and he wasn't going to re-sign with the Patriots. It was played out, and he was resigned to moving on. And that's what he did. And it didn't take long. Free agency hadn't even really opened before Brady decided, I'm out of here. So, Trish, what do you think? Steve, Patrice, have I taken us as far as I can?
I think so. I think we should do the Q&A.
Good, because I'm all talked out. I'm having a little bit of a head rush out here in Freetown, Massachusetts. I got to take a breath. Do you have any questions before we hit this Q&A?
Patrice, what do we do about the chat?
We got 3 people in the chat. I can look at the chat. I'm going to look at the chat.
Okay. Gives you some time.
Chargers, thank you. Bo Wallace checked in. Steve Duffy with the hi, Tom. Sean Mooney before. Don't put your stuff in chat. Put it in Q&A. But Sean Mooney, did Brady and Kraft gang up on Coach B to affect the Garoppolo trade? No. Categorically, no. I can't tell you that more convincingly than that. That is propaganda that's been spilled forth, fed by a perception within the organization that went to Seth Wickersham, who I have respect for. He was well connected. He did a good job in his reporting, but Belichick could have squashed that perception. Patriots had no way to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Don Yee is the agent for Brady. He's the agent for Garoppolo. Garoppolo was not entertaining offers to stay. Patriots didn't even make an offer for Garoppolo. So what are the Pats' plans to replace Mark? I appreciate you, Mark. I'm going to ask you to go to the Q&A. We got 21 questions in there, and I don't want to circumvent all those, so I'm going to the Q&A. Bam, here I am. I'll start right at the top of my guy, Chucky Stolfa. If TB12 was a St. A student, would he be Key or a Teddy? He's got some hawk tendencies to him, but I think he'd end up being Key, the big red Key. Andrew Dwan, hey, what's up, Dwani? Do you agree with the various articles out there that suggest the Patriots may punt on the coming draft and accumulate assets for next season? If so, would you expect this strategy to be? I don't think they'll punt. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. I can't imagine them passing on guys who they think can help immediately. But they got a lot of shit to go through that they have to kick through to resolve in terms of youth on this organization because they're the oldest team in the league. That's a reason they can't punt. And also, they need good players. They need speed at the wide receiver positions, et cetera. So they will not punt. Chuck Scalisi, how you doing, bud? Whoa, I'm talked out now. I had a little belch there. I apologize. Do you think Brady will attend OTAs in Tampa Bay? And what he said yesterday, family decision the last few years to not attend those. I absolutely believe he will attend OTAs. And I do take at face value that Giselle said to him after the 2017 offseason when he went all in with Tom versus time that, you know what, we got to cut this out. You can't go directly from football to TB12. I need some more help around the house. He married a supermodel, and she's used to, as he pointed out to me, and he and I have, talked about this. He married a person who has her own goals, and he had to understand that. It was not someone who was content to just sit there and wait for Tom to come home. And good for him to understand that. Now, is it shitty for him to be involved in Tampa Bay OTAs? No. Because I think that part of Giselle's argument was you're miserable all year going in there. You're not happy with the fact they're paying you half of what everyone else is paying. They're good quarterbacks. You're going to go and work for them for free in April and May on these voluntary OTAs while I have 3-year-old Vivian and 7-year-old Benny to take care of. And I'm supposed to be okay with that. That's not what we're looking for. So now the kids are a little bit older, being paid more, and I think that him going to OTAs is not hypocritical, long story short. Did the Howard Stern interview confirm my view? See, that's the thing is, honestly, not to be a prick, but it wasn't my view, it was their view. My view, I'm just the conduit, really, to what they're telling me. So yes, it confirmed it, but everything I've written and reported is not it's kind of an informed opinion. I'm getting it from someplace, multiple people. So yes, everything that he said, I'm glad he said, because it's stuff that I had reported in terms of a mindset. Favorite St. A's professor? My favorite Mick Flynn story, I have dozens of great Mick Flynn stories. There was the Dirty Dozen trip from Mick Flynn, Exalted Key 1989, down to to Daytona. There was the 1990 trip, which was also decorated with a lot of memories. I'm going to have to write a book on the Mick Flynn stories. Favorite St. A's professor? Geez. That's a good question. I like Professor Joe Katniss, personally. Any thoughts on, hey, Jody, what's up? Jody Davis kicking in, jumping in here. Any thoughts on Brady joining the front office of the Patriots after he's done playing? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that he is more of a coach than a personnel guy, even though he could do it if he wanted to. I think he likes the hands-on teaching aspects. Good to hear from you, Jody. I hope you're staying safe. John Loftus, 76, wonders, who do I blame more for the Patriots in losing Brady? Belichick or Brady? I feel it's a little bit of both. Bill for being a little pig-headed, Brady acting like a little kid who doesn't get his way, so we take his ball and go home. I get that read on it, John. I respect your opinion on that. I think they were at cross purposes, and that's something I wrote today. The difference was you got a player who is at 42 playing like he's 32 and confident he's going to continue doing that. And you have a coach who's saying, he's 42. What am I supposed to do here? Just leave us, don't buy any insurance on the position? I have to start planning. So really, we can get into the details of who did what to whom and who was pissed off about what. And that's fair. And I've gotten a ton of content out of it. But the real reason is Brady wants to keep playing, and Belichick ain't betting on a 43-year-old. My guy Sal Mirabella Jr. from class of '98 wonders. He's wondering why I think Brady chose the Bucs over any other NFL team. Talent down there, the chance to play with Arians and those players, but more than anything, it's because the San Francisco 49ers weren't hiring. Believe me, they tried to make it work out there, especially the head coach, Kyle Shanahan, but in the end, they couldn't make it happen. Jack Malloy. Some fans believe I have the closest relationship with Brady among the Boston media. How did I develop that? And how did I learn? And did I learn anything from the Stern interview? I think I developed it just by being lucky enough to cover the team through that entire tenure, from 2000 on through. And I walked up to him after his first start against the Indianapolis Colts, and I said, I've been arguing all week with Ron Borges, and I knew that you were going to do that shit yesterday, i.e. perform at a certain level, because I had watched him in 2001, especially the 2001 training camp, and I knew how he played. And he and I just got into a habit of every Friday kind of huddling up at his locker. I worked for the Metro West Daily News at that time, and we would sit there and just shoot the shit for 3 to 5 minutes. And I tried to keep it as respectful and not monopolizing his time. But we did little stories here and there where we would get together on the phone and shoot the shit about different things. And really it was about building trust. And there were times I wrote things that really pissed him off. But we always had a conversation about it afterwards. He called me in 2005 when he was in a contracts conversation with the Patriots, and I had some stuff in a story that he was stunned that I got, and he was pissed off at how I got it. And he asked me how I got it. I said, I can't tell you. I said, if we're off the record, we got to be off the record here. I can't tell you this where I got it, or you're going to be unwilling to share stuff with me. I can't tell you where I got something that somebody gave me in confidence. But he had a theory as to where I got it, and he was exactly right. He was exactly right. Jack Malloy wonders if Tom Brady tarnished his career legacy. He thinks that he has, and he can't be compared to Ted Williams, 0 World Series championships, Bobby Orr, 2 Stanley Cups, and Larry Bird, 3 championships. Does that matter to him? I don't see how a guy who went to 9 Super Bowls, won 6, took a team to heights over 20 years of service that you could have never imagined, and is the greatest of all time at his position, could tarnish his legacy by moving on when the team clearly doesn't want to commit to him. Everybody can have a different opinion, but I think his legacy remains intact, and everybody else on that Mount Rushmore, Bill Russell, Ted Williams, Bobby Orr, John Havlicek, David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez, wherever you want to go, Yaz, they're all looking up at him as far as I'm concerned. No, maybe I'm a prick. I don't know. Fran Quinn. I don't know if this is the Fran Quinn or if it's Laurie Hazelhurst. Why Tampa Bay? Best fit? And yeah, he really it was the best fit. Why no other suitors? I'm not sure. Why no franchise tag in the 2019 deal? Brady asked for that, Fran. Could the Pats have really paid up to $30 million? No. Couldn't have done it, and they weren't doing it. That was bad reporting that got out there. Belichick actually told Brady last year, we're not paying any more than $22 million for a quarterback, and they paid him 23, so they weren't doing it. Paul Provost, fellow English major, he asks, holy crap, we get 76 questions, Trish? I'm going to pass out. This is great, though. Oh, we got Mick Flynn with a, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Paul asks, all said, how do I think Brady's season will go? I think he'll have an outstanding season because that was a team, Tampa, that lost 7 games by a touchdown or less, and their quarterback had 35 turnovers. Brady won't have 35 turnovers, and he will be worth more than a touchdown in many games. Hey, Chris Fennell, how you doing, buddy? I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to scoot through these and answer as many as I can real quick. Andrew Dwani, fair to say the split was far more clean than Tom Sr. hinted it might be? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was ugly, and I think that Brady has the opportunity to make it ugly if he wants to, but he has been very wary of staying on the high road. I think if Tua falls past 6, yes, I know that McDaniels loves Tua, and I think the Patriots in general love Tua. Yeah, the Patriots, Matt Provost, did want Brady back on their terms, very much so. Odds he wins another Super Bowl. Michael Martin, odds are better that he wins one than the Patriots win one this season. I really believe that to be the case. Any chance we get Andrew Luck to be Brady, Steve Young? That's a great question. But I think that Andrew Luck is all in on retirement. Regina Federico, I do think that Coach Arians absolutely factored into the decision in terms of the way he related to Brady. And Brady said that on Stern. He really liked the interactions he had. Now, I had people within the Patriots organization say to me that Arians is a guy who likes his golf, and he's going to be out of there at 5 o'clock. So Tom is going to have to get his brain around a different way of doing things down there in Tampa. Jim Flanagan, I appreciate it. I'm happy to do this webinar for you guys. My prediction for the Patriots, this is a rip the Band-Aid off year. They are going to look a little bit like they did in 2000, and they're going to have a lot of work to do to get this organization younger, the roster younger, to get right with the cap. So they could be an 8-win team, they could be a 6-win team, they could be a 9-win team, but they are not going to be, in my estimation, the same team. Corey Becerra, do I think I wish I could get all these. Trish, what am I supposed to do here? Trish, there's 70 people out there.
Yeah. Do you want to sift through and you want me to sift through? What do you want to do?
I mean,
You can always type them in later and we can record them if you want to do that, if you had time after.
Oh, I keep burping now because I talk too fast. Let me just scroll through. There are timestamps on these. So I'm going in order. Pete Plaze, how you doing, Petey? Jen, how are you? How are things in Texas? Shit, there's a lot. Hey, Steve. Wonder if that's my Steve Morrissey. What am I going to do? Is it 45?
You have 3 minutes.
All right. I'm going to start ripping through these.
Okay.
Chris and I will talk about this. Maybe I log on to this same thing later and try and hit as many of these questions as I can. Trish will filter through this and try and figure it out. Guys, if you join late, Saint A's proud. Bo. Bo Curran's in the house too. Trish will let me know what I should do in terms of trying to answer as many of these as I can. I really appreciate how many people jumped on here and the level of interest. Let's do this again, even post-pandemic. Be happy to do this. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to jump off, Trish, because I have to do something at 1, and clearly I have take an antacid.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. You know, we'll figure out how you can answer those questions. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you to all the people that participated. Stay safe.
All right, see you guys.
Anselmians always.
You know what? Maybe later in the week or the beginning of next week, I just go straight answer these questions tomorrow in a dedicated one.
That sounds great. We'll
Great
get a
Q&A.
message out to everybody.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. Do we want to